All right, hello, you guys. I am here. I'm going to go over what I talked about today in our virtual class meeting about graphing quadratic equations. And I have this template that I'm also going to be giving you. It's going to be attached to the resources section. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to graph two problems here. So you'll see that I have y equals x squared plus 8x plus 7 and y equals negative x squared plus 4x plus 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top one. And I always like to identify my A, B, and C because I'm going to need them along the way. So in this case, my A, let me move this over just a little bit. My A is 1, my B is 8, and my C is 7. Okay. Now, to determine if a parabola is going to be opening up or down, remember that it's a happy face or a sad face depending on your A value. So in this case, my A value is 1, a positive 1, so that means it's going to be a happy face. And if it's a happy face, then that means that our vertex, so this is always our point, our vertex, and that means that our vertex is going to be a minimum point value. Okay, and that just helps you visualize what your graph should look like. So this is what your graph all the way over to the right is going to look like eventually. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is axis of symmetry. And axis of symmetry is always part of the quadratic formula. It's opposite of b over 2a, and that is always, always, always what you're going to use. And remember that this is a line, not a point. That's very important. This is going to be a point, and it's going to be an x comma y point. So you might want to write this down on your little chart. Axis of symmetry, we can even put here, is an x equals a number. And then even moving across, our y-intercept is always 0c. So that might be useful to put on the top of your paper every single time. So all of these things here. So line, point, and then a point, okay? And so when we do this, our axis of symmetry, we're going to use that b and the a from this equation. So we're going to do x equals opposite of b over 2 times a, which is 1. So negative 8 divided by 2 is going to give us a negative 4. Okay, so here is our axis of symmetry. Okay, at this point, if you wanted to, you could go over to your graph and go, okay, if it's at negative 4, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. So my vertex is going to be somewhere on this line. Okay, and so when I have my my axis of symmetry, that is part of my vertex. I already have part of my vertex because it's on that line. What I now need to do is figure out the y value. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, x squared plus 8x plus 7. And I'm going to figure out what y is, so that's going to be there. Negative 4 squared, very important to put parentheses around there, plus 8 times negative 4 plus 7. Okay, so now I'm going to use my calculator to help us out a little bit. And you could actually plug this directly into the calculator. Just keep in mind you have to make sure that you put parentheses around your negative 4. So let's see if I could fit, I don't think I can fit all of this on there. So I'll just do it right here. Parentheses, negative 4 squared minus, no, plus 8 times negative 4, and then a plus 7. And I'm going to get a negative 9. So y equals negative 9. Okay, so my vertex is negative 4, negative 9. So now I can even go to my, so but whatever choice you want, you could either fill out all this information and then go to your graph, or you can go bit by bit and fill out your graph. So here's my vertex, and then the last thing before I start graphing, I'm going to do my y-intercept, 0c. So 0, I'm going to go back over here. My c was 7, so that is a point on the graph. Okay, so we drew our line at negative 4. Now we're going to find this vertex at negative 4, negative 9. So I already have -4. I'm going to go down to -9, which is right here. There is my vertex, okay? I also know, whoops, sorry, just noticed you can't see that. So here's my vertex. I also, in the beginning, said there was going to be a happy face, so it's going to be forming going up this way. And 0, 7, I already know that that's a point, 0, +7 all the way up here. Okay, so if that is a point, 0, 7, and that's going across 1, 2, 3, 4 this way, I'm going to go over this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because this distance and this distance need to be the same. So I just went over 4 units both sides from my axis of symmetry. Now, I could graph this. However, I need a little bit more accuracy in my points. So I can't just go ahead and connect these 3 points, okay? So then we're going to go back to that 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. This is a pattern that a parabola creates. 1, 1 from the vertex, 2, 4 from the vertex, 3, 9, okay? And we're going to use that from a parabola. Now, in this case, we're going to always make sure we multiply by a, but because all of the problems that we're going to be doing have an a value of 1, this pattern is not going to change for any of the problems that you're doing. Okay, I did look online to see that. So from my vertex, I'm going to go over to the right 1, up 1, and over to the left, up and up 1. So over to the right 2 and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 2, 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I could always use my axis of symmetry over 2 this way, over 2 this way, okay? And then 3, 9, I can go over 3, so 1, 2, 3, and up 9 is going to actually hit right here at the axis, or at the x-axis. So this is over 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to use my symmetry to find the other point. 1, 2, 3. Okay, these 2 points are the most important points. Those 2 points are our x-intercepts, or our roots. And when you're working on Delta Math, they're going to say that you have to pick 5 points on your graph. Okay, and those 5 points need to include your x-intercept. So the important thing is that if you don't have those when you're graphing, let's say you graph here and you don't have that point, you need to keep going. So if for some reason you keep going, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, it would be 4. 4 squared is 16. So notice that these are squared numbers. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared would be 25. Don't think you'll have to go up that far, but just in case that's what you want to be thinking. So now I can create my parabola. And the last thing I want to identify is my x-intercepts. Okay, so this one here is -1, 0. And over here, let's see, 5, 6, 7. So this is -7, 0. Okay, so those are my solutions to this parabola, okay, or to this quadratic equation. You could find those points by doing quadratic formula, completing the square, or solve by factoring, which is what we learned right before we left school. And so this is just another way to solve, which is solve by graphing. Okay, so those are our 2 solutions, roots, or zeros. You'll see all those different words that are interchangeable. All right, so then the last thing I'm going to do is do one more, and this one is going to have a negative a value. So our a is -1, our b is 4, and our c is 5. And I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster on this one. So my a value is -1, means it's pointing down. My vertex must be my max, because I'm on the highest point of the hill, or I threw the ball and it's in the highest point in the air. That's the maximum point. My axis of symmetry, x equals opposite of b, so -4 over 2 times a, which is -1. So x equals -4 over -2, x equals 2. My dotted line is going to be on x equals 2. Okay, now I'm going to take and plug that in. So here is my vertex. We've got to find our unknown. So I'm going to rewrite our problem. This one is tricky because you definitely have to be careful of that negative right there, okay? So when you plug in that 2, remember that 2 goes into here and into here, okay? However, when you're doing that, you need to make sure you're careful with that negative. This means -1 times 2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 5. Because we said that our A value is -1. So we have to keep that in there, okay? So that -1 gets applied after you square the 2. So 2 squared is 4 times a -1 becomes a -4 plus 8 plus 5. So if I bring these two together, -4 plus 8 would be a +4 plus 5. So we get a y value of 9, and that would go there. So our starting point is going to be +2, +9, okay? And then the last thing is our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is always 0c. So it'll be 0, comma, +5, because that's our c value. All right, so now let's start graphing and see what we can get. So we said that our our axis of symmetry is +2. So I'm going to dash my line just to help me with my sides, making sure they're proportional. So if I do, let's see, 2, 9 is my starting point. 2, +9. I'm going to use a different color actually. 2, +9. Okay, and then I see 0, 5 is a point. So 0, 5 here. So making sure they're even, I can go over 2 this way, then I can go over 2 this way. Okay, now I've graphed 3 points. However, again, on Delta Math, we need to make sure that we go all the way to the x-intercept. So I need to continue and make sure that I've hit the x-intercepts, okay? So I'm gonna follow that pattern, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, to get my graphing. So over 1, down 1. I'm going down because this is a negative graph. Over 2, down 4. Well, we already hit that point. Over 2, down 4 was that 0, 5. Okay, and then 3, 9 goes from here over 3, 3 and down 9 will hit down here. And then I'm going to use axis of symmetry to find my other point because I don't want to have to keep going up and over. So 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 on this one. Okay, so those 2 points, I'm getting +5, 0 and a -1, 0. Those are my 2 x-intercepts. Okay, now when you're doing Delta Math, they want 5 points. And if you notice on my picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 7 points. So here's the trick when you're doing Delta Math. You can't do all 7 of these. So what you want to do is not include maybe those 2 points or not include maybe these 2 points so that you can hit the x-intercepts. You must hit the x-intercepts. So some people last year, I remember they would get frustrated because they're like, I did these 5 points and it's saying I'm wrong. And it's wrong because you have to touch the x-axis. So these 2 are the most important points. So I would at least do those 3 points and then it's your choice what other 2 points you want to do. Either the 1, 1 points or the y-intercept and the one that's opposite of the y-intercept or that reflects from there, okay? So I hope this helps clarify some graphing. Again, I will attach this graph paper so that you can be showing your work on those problems, okay? So I will see you again soon. Thank you guys for watching.